Susan Moody, and I'm a worship associate with this wonderful congregation, a group of loving, unique individuals. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. Who we are is expressed in our mission statement. The Namaqua Unitarian Universalist Congregation fosters a loving community that celebrates diversity, strives for peace and justice, acts mindfully for the good of the planet, and inspires spiritual growth. This is through a free and loving search for truth and meaning. At this time in the COVID-19 pandemic, sometimes our free and loving search for meaning may take place virtually. As we practice social distancing and wear our face masks to protect our own health and that of others, we now hold our Sunday services on Zoom. Today's service will be recorded and posted on the namaquauu.org website by our webmaster, Karen Brock. Thank you, Karen. This is our 11th virtual Sunday service, hard to believe, and I would appreciate your tolerance of my inexperience in this format. There may be some rough spots, delays, voices may get broken up, or the picture or the screen may freeze. To improve the quality of the sound, our technician, Sarah Suriani, has muted everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Please continue to keep your microphones muted during the service. During joys and sorrows, some of you will be invited to unmute your microphones to share, and all of you will unmute your microphones if you choose to stay after for the virtual coffee hour. Today we have some announcements. Our Namaqua Virtual Book Club will begin in June, and they will be selecting a nonfiction book that should help you more positively and productively deal with these stressful times. Chad Escalier will be the facilitator. Please check the email blast for information and for Chad's email. Half-plate nominations are due by June 14th. Karen McCarter says that we don't really have enough yet. We have a few, but we need several more. The forms for the nominations can be found on the weekly email blast, and the email where you send your completed forms is there as well. Luncheons will continue from noon to 1 on Thursdays, virtually. Contact planners Nancy Amsler or Alice Kane if you have any questions or would like to make sure you receive an invitation. Now, please sit back and enjoy our prelude, Now by Dave Carroll.
When there's no way out, there's still a way through. So don't give up whatever you do. Surrender to moments and things as they are, from the gaps in your catch-22s. When there's no way out, there's still a way through. 'Cause now's all there is, so peaceful and still. And now you don't worry about what's happened or what will. 'Cause now never ends, and now's never been. And all of your answers are waiting for you here now. When your world stands tough and weighing you down, and you've had enough of this merry-go-round, and you're resisting.
Wherever you're sitting, take several deep breaths and find a quiet, soft center of yourself. Let thoughts free and just be. As we put aside the minutiae of the day, the year, and the week, Let us enter into silent meditation for several moments and enjoy the fellowship of this caring community. At the beginning of our quiet time, I would like to share some reflective words from UU Reverend L.A. Cray. After these thoughts, I will ring a bell to begin and end our meditation time. Source of all our living, as we gather this morning, mindful of the mystery of thresholds, calm our uneasy and anxious spirits. May we be open to the mystery and blessings of what awaits on the other side of great transition. Allow love and light to penetrate our places of fear, desperation, hopelessness, and despair. Encourage our spirits and strengthen our connections so that we may be a threshold people. Give us the certainty to walk with those who are standing at the thresholds of indecision, uncertainty, and doubt. Provide for us the courage to speak truth to power. May we continue to love unapologetically. Let this love carry us from indecision and doubt to peace and resolve. Be with us now and always, holding us in the tender moments of growth.
Let's see, shall we do the chalice lighting and the congregational affirmation? So the chalice lighting is taken from this month's worldwide UU chalice lighting. So as we say these words, as I speak these words, think about it not only within our congregation, but radiating out across the world. So to light our chalice. We believe in the energy, the source of all creatures. We believe in our limitless power, the mystery of being human. We are hoping for your guidance to discover our fears, doubts, and joys, that our fears become our strength, that darkness becomes our light, our greatest failure becomes our greatest achievement. Because as human beings, all things happen for a reason, which molds and strengthens our personality. As our journey moves to the next level, we may bless our minds and hearts to love and to respect all existence in this world. Amen. And please join me now in reciting the congregational affirmation, which is in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth of love, and to help one another. For our opening song, which we'll do, and then we can go into the time of all ages, is I Am Willing by Holly Near. And it's so cool. Tim Black, Bob, and Kim Jeffries recorded this and sent it to us this week. So we're including it in the service. Oh.
1, 2, 3, seems so strange. It dishonors those who come before us. So lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the wind change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless it seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Me and my yoke to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my tears. Give the sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
Oh, that was great. I needed that. Thanks, Susan, for organizing that. So now it's time for A Time of All Ages, and we've got a great Appalachian tale. It's called Old Joe, and I forget, but here we go. Old Joe lived way out in the countryside, and he had one good neighbor. They'd been friends all their lives, and now that their spouses were buried and their children raised, all they had left were their farms and each other. But for the first time, they'd had an argument. It was over a stray calf that the neighbor, that neither of them really needed. It seemed as though the calf was found on Joe's neighbor's land, and so he claimed it as his own. But old Joe said, "No, that calf has the same markings as my favorite cow, and I recognize it as being mine." Well, they were both a bit stubborn, so they just stopped talking to each other. It seemed that a dark cloud had settled over old Joe until there came a knock on his door 1 week later. Next. He wasn't expecting anybody that morning, and as he opened the door, he saw a young woman who had a box of tools on her shoulder. She had a kind voice and deep, dark eyes, and she said, "I'm a carpenter, and I'm looking for a bit of work. Maybe you'd have some small jobs that I can help with." Old Joe brought her into the kitchen and sat her down and gave her some stew that he had on the back of the stove. There also was some home-cooked bread, fresh churned butter, and homemade jam. While they were talking and eating, Joe decided that he liked this young carpenter, and he said, "I do have a job for you. Look right there through my kitchen window. See that farm over there? That's my neighbor's place. And you see that creek running right down there between our property lines? That creek, it wasn't there last week. My neighbor did that to spite me. He took his plow up there and he dug a big old furrow from the upper pond and flooded it. Well, I want to do one better. Since he wants us divided that way, you go out there and build me a fence, a big, tall fence. So I won't even have to see his place anymore." And the carpenter said, "Well, if you have the lumber and nails, I've got my tools. I'll be able to build something that you like." Joe had to go to town to get some supplies, so he hitched up the wagon and showed the carpenter where everything was in the barn. The carpenter carried everything she needed down to the creek and started to work. The carpenter's work went smooth and fast. She did her measuring and her sawing and her nailing. It was about sunset when old Joe returned, and the carpenter had finished her work. When old Joe pulled up in that wagon, his eyes opened wide and his mouth fell open. There wasn't a fence there at all. Next. It was a bridge going from one side of the creek to the other. It had handrails and all, a fine piece of work. And his neighbor was just starting to cross the bridge with his hand stuck out, and he was saying, "Joe, you're quite the fellow to build this bridge. I'd have never been able to do that. I'm so glad we're going to be friends again." And old Joe put his arms around his neighbor and said, "Oh, that calf is yours. I've known it all the time. I just want to be your friend too." About that time, the carpenter started putting her tools in the box and then hoisted it onto her shoulder and started to walk away. And Joe said, "Wait, come back, young carpenter. I want you to stay on. I've got lots of projects for you." The carpenter just smiled and said, "I'd like to stay on, Joe, but you see, I can't. I got more bridges to build." So she walked on, and there ends my tale.
Together, we're building a tapestry of love we call community. And to do this every Sunday, we share important joys and sorrows in our personal lives, transferring a stone from one bowl to another, acknowledging that the community joins you in celebrating your personal joys and offers you comfort in your time of sorrow. If you'd like to share, you may please use the chat to send your name to me so I can call on you. If you'd like to share, please use the chat. I already said that, sorry. To just talk, right? To do this, put your cursor on the bottom of the screen, click on chat, and type in your name. Also, if you want to share your joy or sorrow by writing it in the chat box, then we can find it there. We'll only have time for 8 individuals sharing, so please be brief and know that all of you will be given an opportunity to share more during our virtual coffee time. And if all of you will help me if I don't see the people that want to share, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Does Rini want to share, or am I wrong?
You're right. I just want
Yeah.
I just want to let everybody know that we have finally made our move. We are living at Good Samaritan. It's a great place to be. We are liking it very much. The downside is the buyer backed out of buying our house.
No.
So our house is back on the market. So that would be good to get the house out of the way, and then we couldn't stop running back and forth and just live here, which would be really nice.
Well, thank you, Rini, for your joy. And I suppose your sorrow would be that your deal fell through, but we commiserate with that and hope you sell it really quickly. Pedro, is Pedro there?
I really don't have anything to share. I was just saying happy birthday.
Oh. Happy birthday. Okay. Who are we saying happy birthday to? Just everybody?
Lauren?
Yeah, it was my birthday, my 39th birthday on
Oh,
Wednesday.
was your birthday? Oh my gosh. Happy birthday, Lauren. Well, I missed that. Did you go celebrating on Saturday night?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay.
I
Well,
have church in the morning.
congratulations. I remember when I was that young, a long time ago. Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to share?
Janet would like to.
Janet wants to share. Okay. Go ahead, Janet.
Okay. Yesterday was the first anniversary of the death of my closest grandkitty. And the day before that, on Friday, one of my other grandkitties passed away. It was my youngest daughter's cat. He ate a sewing needle. And by the time they got him into surgery, it was too late. So I am mourning 2 kitties this weekend. That's rough for us kitty lovers.
That's really tough when you lose a pet of any kind. I lost my dog last year.
Oh,
Thank you, Janet. Okay, so I think I'm not keeping up with the stones. There's one for Janet for her cat that died, and one for the other one. I'd like to talk about the death of George Floyd. I don't know if anybody else has been watching. I don't know how you couldn't be watching what's going on in the news. And it harkens me back to the time of the Martin Luther King marches and the series of assassinations and all the protests and the people just boiling over with emotion. And I want to send out all of the good thoughts and prayers to George Floyd's family. He looked like a sweet man. He had a bad day for sure. And I think he's been misrepresented by the police. At any rate, I hope this all goes, the protests stay peaceful and we don't have any more looting and it doesn't turn into something that isn't respectful to the memory of George Floyd. Anyway, George Floyd, excuse me. I'm going to put in several. Does anybody else have something else to share?
Yes, Mo.
Oh, Mim.
Mo,
Yes.
Mo and Glenda.
Oh, Glenda, sorry. Go ahead, Glenda.
I moved to Fort Collins 5 years ago yesterday. And it was about 6 months later that I found Namaqua.
Well, that's a joy. I found Namaqua probably 7 years ago. So here's to Namaqua and here's to Glenda moving to Fort Collins and joining us. You're definitely a part of our congregation that we all value very much.
Thank you.
And I know Mim has something to say. You're muted, Mim.
Okay, Brenda is still trying to recover from whatever the hell has been making her so sick for 2 months now. But she and Wei are celebrating an anniversary today, and I think we should put a whole bunch of marbles in for these wonderful people.
I agree. I don't know, I feel so concerned about Brenda's illness, and I'll put all the rocks I've got in for that. And I'm glad she has a chance to have a joy though and celebrate her anniversary. It's a very special time. And if there's anything that we can do, let us all know. I would be happy to help. Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else who would like to share?
Mo wanted to share.
Rebecca?
Mo.
Mo, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, I second the George Floyd and what's going on in our world right now. My heart hurts for that. So this seems, I don't know, but my little boy Squeakers, he's not the one in the coat. He's the other one kind of forefront of the pictures. He was with me for 16 and a half years, and he passed away a few weeks ago across that Rainbow Bridge. And so I still have Tootsie Pup, who's next to him, but it was one of the hardest days of my life, really, to have to let my little constant companion go. So
I feel your pain, Mo. I lost my dog last year too. I saw that on Facebook.
yeah,
And here's another one for George Floyd.
thank you.
Yeah. And Rebecca?
Yeah, this morning, I just put it in the chat. This morning, Tom and I attended the first UU Minneapolis service this morning. It was really, really beautiful. The sermon given by the one African-American minister, it was, I would just recommend it. I put the link in the chat. So, I think you could probably go back and see it all. But make sure you watch it long enough to get to the African-American minister's talk. It was lovely.
I bet it was. To me, that's a joy related to a sorrow. So we have lots to fill our hearts. Are there any other people who would like to share? I think that's probably as many as we have time for. I want to thank you all for sharing. And now if you'll just lean back and listen to our song, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Isn't it amazing when someone unexpected comes out of the woodwork to help you cross a threshold? Just like old Joe needed the carpenter to help him across his creek of bitterness, we all need people to help us across our own self-inflicted barriers or real life tangible barriers like COVID. I think of my dad who told me in my early 20s when I was battling crippling depression, Lauren, just do one thing every day. Doesn't matter how small, just do one thing and you can hit the pillow feeling like your life matters. I think of my mom, who while having a life-changing heart-to-heart, told me parts of her that made her seem less like a mom and more completely like a friend. And it gave me freedom to be myself. I think of my past spouse and current co-parent, Jesse, who has built more bridges for me than I can count. I think of people in this congregation, everything from a hug from Glenda Bell, who winked at me and said, "I love you," to some really deep conversations with Doug Stewart about transitions. I remember a silent, tearful hug from Janet Gillette when she could just tell I needed it. A dinner with Karen Brock and Kathy Hartman and Kim Skylander when I needed some cheering up. Jam sessions with Tim and Bob and Katie Fox and Jan and Wright and Janet. A long car ride with Mem Neal, learning all about her amazing life. I think of the time and privilege spent teaching our youth and how I got to connect with several amazing young adults who gave me hope. I think of all the worship associates, and most recently Susan Moody, who I've loved working with and learning from. These are people who I probably never would interact with in my normal day-to-day, but people who, through this congregation, have become friends, role models, and sources of inspiration and change. These are people who have built bridges for me. I do not mean to exclude anyone in this congregation by naming names. I hope you all know that you are a treasure to me. We all have different, very meaningful classes and groups and events that we plug into. My point is that this congregation is a resource to each of us, each with different experiences that we can all share by telling our stories. Thank you for indulging me by letting me share just a few of mine. I'm stepping away from being a worship associate. I'm purposely stepping over and away from many things. I'm crossing a threshold. I'm crossing deliberately into a space where I can focus more on myself and those most close to me. This will be my last reflection for a while, so I admit it may be more personal than comfortable for some of you. And while I admit that, I hope it opens up some part of you to realize who and what about this congregation means the most to you. I've looked through all my past reflections, and a common thread through all of them is the importance of community and the community this congregation builds. For me, it's reassuring to note that all my reflections have always been a little personal, and you guys haven't fired me yet. On the contrary, you have listened to me with respect and have made me feel valued. So in this one last time with me in the worship associate role, I again invite you to get personal with yourself. Think about Namakwa. What memories bring a smile to your face? Who are you looking forward to most when we all get to, what are you looking forward to most when we all get to be together again? Who is it that you just can't wait to hug? Who are you building a bridge to right now, crossing over this crazy COVID creek? We will get there someday, and oh, what a celebration it will be. I can't wait. I can't wait to be with all of you in person again. Blessed be.
We will now virtually receive our offering. One of the ways Namakwa walks its talk is to give half of our collection plate away to support our local community. This month, we will donate half of our collection to provide laundry vouchers to the homeless in the spirit of helping everyone be clean and safe. To donate, click on the chat icon. Sarah will display a link that invites you to give. Just click on the link to give an electronic donation, either from your bank account or from your credit card. You can choose to designate your donation as a pledge or for the collection plate or for the building fund. Alternatively, you can always mail in your donation to the church or go to the website, namakwau.org. To donate electronically, I will play some music to give you a minute to donate. Bless this offering.
Now in this moment, it's time to start over. Open your heart, you know there's nothing to forgive. Starting now in this moment, it's time to start over. Nothing to forgive. Starting now in this moment,
There's something we forgot in our joys and sorrows. I wanted to congratulate Firmer and Cindy Black for I think it was their anniversary. Good friends. I'm in a meditation group with them, and Cindy's a wonderful artist, and Firmer's a great guy. Sorry about that. We forgot about that one. Okay. Here it is, living with the full catastrophe. When I'm trying to get to know someone better, I tend to drive them crazy by asking a series of questions, starting with what is your favorite and ending with book, author, vacation spot, meal, pet, musician, song, comedian, coffee shop, etc., etc., etc. This habit has led to many interesting conversations. My husband, Steve, and I used to regularly have dialogue on road trips. Once he had an idea that we should rent our favorite movies on a weekend and eat popcorn while discussing why each movie was so memorable. His favorite movie turned out to be Sergeant York, a very boring movie about a hero of World War I. I fell asleep while watching it, though I tried valiantly to keep my eyes open. He laughed when he woke me up at the end, but I could tell he was disappointed. The next night, it was my turn, and I put Zorba the Greek in the VCR and waited for the expected delight of my cohort. He kept leaving the room for refreshments and a break from the movie that blew me away as a teenager. I guess he didn't understand. My delight with that unpolished gem of a movie has stayed with me. I remember a lot of quotes from it, but one thing in my mind particularly sticks out. It occurs when the young writer Basil asks Zorba if he's been married, and Zorba says with enthusiasm, "Am I not a man? Of course I've been married. Wife, house, kids, everything, the full catastrophe." And I remember being impressed by Zorba's zest for living, even when things seemed to be falling apart. He appeared to know something profound that I didn't. As I've gotten older, I still think of Zorba now and then, and I see him from the perspective of an older woman. After all, he was just a regular man who knew he couldn't change the drama of day-to-day reality. So Zorba simply reframed the full catastrophe as part of the life he was meant to live. And he enjoyed each moment. He embraced his suffering and he danced with it. Similarly, the artist who knows that for a successful piece of art she creates, there are many that will be cast aside or left on the table for a later moment. It's part of the process. It's life with all its ups and downs. I think it's just all a matter of perspective. Instead of bemoaning the sad and difficult parts of our existence, we might look at those messy, disagreeable pieces as opportunities for new ways of seeing, doing, and creating things. This could be an opportunity to step outside ourselves and be awakened to the beauty of each day. Put one foot in front of the other and pay attention. Relax into the uncertainty of reality and enjoy the ride. Zorba's joy was a byproduct of his troubled, uncertain, bumpy life. He accepted it, all of it, and was grateful. I feel that we all would be happier if we could do the same. Our lives are a daily struggle of health, family, and work problems. To a Buddhist, this is our dukkha. The Buddhists believe that there is always general discomfort and dissatisfaction in life. Life moves forward, flowing until it encounters resistance. This is the natural tension of life. It is through these mental and physical tensions that the world in which we exist becomes itself. It's to be expected. Much of the beauty in life is a result of that natural tension. For example, a gnarled tree is beautiful because of the wind and rain and the elements that push it to grow in a certain way. Arches National Park in Utah and the Keyhole and Devil's Backbone are further examples of the push and pull of nature's creation. The Rocky Mountains, so dear to all of us, are the result of this geological tension. And as Americans, we are addicted to packing as much as we can into our day. Everything is by the clock, and the analysis at day's end is cut and dried. We habitually take no time to smell the roses because we have meals to make, clothes to wash, homework to do, etc., etc., etc. It's the full catastrophe. It's indeed a challenge to live mindfully in this neurotic, obsessive world of 2020. When the full catastrophe of life just hits us in the face each morning, how do we get that inner perspective of living each moment fully? Attempting to maintain this positive outlook is particularly hard at this present time, with pandemic threat and the need for social distancing. The idea of encouraging yourself to just sit with your fear and frustration is enormously difficult. Yes, we're all in this together, but only at a safe 6-foot distance. It's the ultimate conundrum. How to stay safely apart and still remain connected. At a time when we would love to have a hug, we are discouraged for health reasons. Yet we need that connection and have found ourselves Zooming and FaceTiming more than ever. We are indeed sitting with our anxiety and trying to make lemonade out of lemons. I hear people wondering what the world will be like when this is over. Some say that it will have a profoundly positive effect. Some aren't sure. I see everyone making masks, young people taking the place of older folks that used to fill the ranks of food bank volunteers. Younger neighbors are checking on older neighbors, helping with shopping and other needs. Our compassionate nature is showing, and that feels good. Something new and yet very old is emerging and strengthening. Most people are helping one another in new and creative ways, because that's what we do, and yet some aren't. There's that push and pull. The world is quieter. There is less pollution, less noise, fewer car accidents. Marina Koren in this week's Atlantic talks about how widespread distancing and quarantining has had real environmental effects as well. There's less seismic activity around the world, believe it or not. And with less activity, it's easier to detect big quakes across the world. There is less air pollution as evidenced in China in the last few months. Particulate matter and carbon dioxide in the air are much less in evidence, which has probably helped to save lives. Also, city soundscapes are quieter. Erica Walker at Boston University has noted a 30 decibel difference in the level at Kenmore Square close to campus. Ocean life has also benefited from the removal of cruise ships and the ban of beach activity. Sea turtles have been seen in much larger numbers nesting. Our earth is healing. So, by staying home and being safe during this quarantine, we could be learning how to sit with our problem thoughtfully and are becoming more awake to our global problem. I hope it will change us for the better. I think it has mostly been bringing us together on a local level. At least that's what I'm seeing. My neighbors check in with me more often. We all howl at 8 p.m. and laugh a lot. We walk at a distance daily, but wave and smile. We feel more connected. It's easier to look at our state, nation, and world problems more mindfully when the home front feels more symbiotic. I hope that doesn't go away when the quarantine lifts. I'll do my part to make sure it doesn't and encourage you to do the same. As Pema Chodron says in her classic, When Things Fall Apart, times of chaos and challenge are to be the most spiritually powerful if we are brave enough to rest in their space of uncertainty. I think being required to stay home and just be responsible has been a good exercise physically and spiritually. We are beginning to see something new on the other side. In the following poem by Dana Folds, the practice of letting go and awakening to the present moment is beautifully expressed. Allow. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in. The wild, the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to new eyes. With this let it all flow through me philosophy, expectation takes a back seat to the present moment. Ego abandons ship and the doors of perception open. This sounds exciting and very scary at the same time. It's about letting go and letting be. In this world of coronavirus, presidential hubris, environmental crisis, and economic downturn, living in the present moment doesn't hold much allure. However, if you look at the present health, economic, and environmental crisis as an opportunity to let it all in and simply live the truth, you may see things anew and awaken to the bittersweet wisdom of the full catastrophe. When we let it all in without fear and with full attention, we see differently and realize that it's all part of the interconnected web of life. From mindfully witnessing the chaos of the full catastrophe, we gain deep compassion and a new way of being. I will close with a portion of the poem by Naomi Shahib Nye. Kindness. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in the white poncho lies dead beside the road. You must see how this could be you. How he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the claw. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been waiting for," and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. So during this period of uncertainty, anxiety, and awareness of our own frailty, let's join Zorba in embracing the full catastrophe of life. If we let our compassion, empathy, humility, and ability to find meaning in the small things lead us in our daily journey, I feel we can find our way to being the change we long to see in the world. May it be so. Our closing song was chosen by Lauren to commemorate our new tradition of howling in honor of our COVID-19 healthcare workers and all those who have suffered and died from this terrible virus. Enjoy The Wolves by Mandolin Orange.
At my gate I'll always greet you. At my door you're welcome in. There can be no transgression as a means to an end. On the wind the wolves are howling. Open arms are closed in fear. Helping hands are clenched in anger. Broken hearts beyond repair. Everything's so great, can't get better. Makes me wanna cry. tall and mighty, with her keen and watchful eye, in the heart of a mother, holding out her guiding light. It's a hard road to travel, solid rock from end to end. The sun, it rises on her brow and sets upon the great expanse. Everything's so great, can't get better, makes me wanna cry. But I'll go out howling at the moon tonight. She stands so tall and mighty, her gaze facing the east, and at her back our doors are closing as we grin and bare our teeth. On the wind, the wolves are howling, she cries, they're drawing near. Well, turn around, my darling, no, the wolves are here. Everything's so great, can't get better, makes me wanna cry. But I'll go out howling at the moon tonight. Yeah, I'll go out howling at the moon tonight.
There we go. To extinguish our chalice, we'll close with these words. Never has it been more true than now. We extinguish this flame, but the sparks within us remain alight. From each of us in our supposed solitude, the signals buzz and hum, sparkling through space, one to another, connecting us invisibly, but palpably. We are one, and from every window, our light shines.
In closing, I offer the words of Mary Oliver from her poem, Wild Geese. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Go now in peace. Shortly after the service ends, you will be receiving an invitation on your screen to break out in a breakout session. Accept the invitation and you will be broken into smaller groups for our coffee hour. So now, for our closing circle, take the hand or paw of the creature, real or imagined, sitting next to you. Take your hand and feel it, and feel free to sing along with our traditional UU closing song, the UU blessing song.
It's a blessing you were born.
It's a blessing I was born.
And it matters what you do.
And it matters what I do.
What you know about God.
What I know about God.
Is a piece of the truth.
Is a piece of the truth.
Let the beauty you love.
Let the beauty I love.
piece of the truth.
Is a piece of the truth.
Let the beauty we love.
Let the beauty we love
be what we do.
be what we do.
And we don't have